we brought out this new llama that I completely forgot about, and it was my daughter's. And I'm pretty sure I didn't see it. My wife opened it, but it definitely twerks. This is a twerking llama. I'm talking like it's a rainbow colored llama, and it moves its head and then it rank ding 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 and it just twerks all of a sudden. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 4 of the Nacho Average Daddios podcast. My name is Sam Skibby. As always, welcomed by my co-host Spencer Bogat. Spencer, how we doing today as we begin our weekend on this fine Saturday?
Hey, I'm doing good. It's another week in the books, and I got to say this is one of the best times of the year. We've had some good basketball in college basketball games going on. We got baseball starting up. NBA and NHL playoffs are getting ready to go here in a couple weeks. So if you're a sports fan, if you're a dad, it's a great time to lay on the couch and do a whole lot of nothing.
That's right. It's a good time. And, if you can get your kids involved a few times with the sports, I'm sure we'll get talking about that. We are going to talk about March Madness in just a little bit too. But have there been any recent travels or fun stories you'd like to share, Spencer, regarding just fatherhood or Michael in general?
Yeah, no recent travels for me, but my wife has traveled a little bit. So my son and I have been
One-on-one.
spending some more one-on-one time together
Nice.
recently, which it's funny. His daycare notices when mom is out of town because when dad dresses Michael for daycare, we pick the first things that come out of the drawer and we just throw them on. So funny enough, I'll take him to daycare and they'll say, "Oh, mom's out of town," and I'll say, "Yeah, she
Yeah,
is." So,
that's right.
but yeah, no. What about you?
I had some daycare stories too. On Fridays, my son has show and tell, and every week we let him decide what he wants to bring. Well, recently this past week has been my wife's spring break. She's a teacher, and she got out a new toy. I don't know if you do this, and maybe this is a dad hack that we should tell people about, but if birthdays, and I know you don't like kids' birthday parties, but there's so many presents that the kids get that sometimes we take some of them and we put them aside, we put them in storage. And then if there's a day that we need something to do, we'll get that specific present out as like a brand new toy. They forget about it, so you bring it back out. I don't know if you've ever done anything like that.
No, but I'm not gonna lie.
Genius.
That's kind of sneaky. No, no, it's their toy. Someone got them that toy, and you're hiding it from them. That's
Hey,
terrible.
they didn't even know it was gone. There's like a bajillion toys. They get them from friends and family. So you take like one or two, you put them in the storage room, and then you bring them out. Well, anyway, we brought out this new llama that I completely forgot about, and it was my daughter's. And I'm pretty sure I didn't see it. My wife opened it, but it definitely twerks. This is a twerking llama. I'm talking like it's a rainbow colored llama, and it moves its head and then it rank ding 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 and it just twerks all of a sudden, and they find it hilarious. I find it hilarious. It's just so he brought that to show and tell yesterday, and he got quite the reaction from all of his peers and his teachers. So it was pretty
Did he,
fun.
when he showed his peers, did he say, "Hey guys, this is my llama. I actually got this a year ago, but I forgot about it, and now it's new again." Did he say
I
that or?
I don't know what he said. They just show us, the picture and then the video reaction of the kids. But I can tell you, it is Wyatt's. So he brought Wyatt's toy to his show
Mm,
and tell.
okay,
So that was that.
okay,
And then another thing at
okay.
daycare that happened was we took a tour of Wyatt's new daycare. So we are going to a
Mm,
brand new daycare, brand new preschool for both of them. McGuire and Wyatt are starting preschool in the local school district here that we live in. And we know we've been wanting to get them into this new preschool. Got in from the lottery system, and we took a tour of it. We really like it, but it's really hard. It's like breaking up with somebody because it's
yeah.
hard to break it off with your past daycare who's been so great. Our past daycare has been awesome. We were there when they first opened, so we were like one of the first people that's been going on the past 3 years, 4 years of McGuire's life too. So, and they asked me on Friday, they said, "Hey, what's your summer plans?" And I told them our summer plans with them, the schedule we wanted. They said, "What about fall?" I was like, Uh, we're not sure yet. So I'm nervous to break up with them. If you know, I'm pulling that, pushing that off to the side, and I'm really nervous.
It's it's just business, and
I
guess what?
know.
They got a bunch of kids that are ready to
Yeah,
replace you. So there's
that's definitely
always a
true.
waiting list. There's always
That's
a waiting
definitely true.
list.
Yeah,
So it is what it is. We're looking at changing daycares as well. We the daycare we have now is pretty much another mortgage.
it is.
So we'll be looking at another one. We're on a waiting list to switch.
Yeah,
So hopefully in a couple weeks. But
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, we also booked a second Mexico trip for this year. We're going in July, but we're going again in December for my
dang.
cousin's wedding. So you remember my cousin Catherine?
Yeah,
Remember my
yeah.
cousin
She said
Catherine?
she was going to invite me to the wedding, and I guess the invite got must have gotten
Wow.
lost in the mail or
I'll
something.
have to
I don't
talk to
know.
her. Maybe we'll reference this podcast, see if she joins us.
Yeah, yeah. Ask her to
Speaking
listen.
of talking about this podcast, we want to thank everybody who's followed us on social media so far, who's subscribed to our YouTube channel and followed us on Spotify as well. But if you're interested, we would love to have you follow the Nacho Average Daddios podcast on Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Find us on all those platforms again. Let's get talking about this, Spencer. Obviously, March Madness has already begun. And I know you and I fill out brackets. We've always filled out brackets. We've been in pools before. I'm in a work pool as well this year. But for the first time, we had my two youngest kids, and Jackson also filled one out. Our whole family, my brother Gus's whole family, my mom and dad, we filled out one. My mom's going to have some prizes for the top three. And it was very interesting how we decided to, have the kids decide who they wanted to win. Instead of saying the names of it, we took mascots, we took colors, we did different letters that they liked in those, and just asked a bunch of questions about them. Would you like to hear who they chose as their winners?
I would love to. Yeah.
All right. So McGuire chose University of Alabama Birmingham. He chose the Dragons because obviously he's really into dragons, right?
Yeah. Hey, hey.
Loved the
Great pick.
mascots.
It's
They're
a great pick.
playing
Hey, I think they're a 12 seed, right?
10 seed, I think.
12 seed.
12 seed. You're right, 12
UAB.
seed. Yep.
I know my bracket, Sam.
Yeah, you do. They are a 12 seed, obviously. Not working out too well for him. So yes, and then my daughter picked Oregon, who
Oh,
obviously won the
yeah.
first round. So
All right.
picked Oregon, and she liked the Ducks.
Great
But even
colors.
even better, my niece Gus's daughter picked Colgate because it was like the toothpaste. So
Hey, they've got a high flying offense, so you never know. You never
what
know.
about you?
They're one of those schools that, they're always going to be ranked 13, 14, 15th, and everyone knows, we don't have to get into the
No,
games from
no,
Thursday and Friday,
no.
but everyone knows. So
Yeah.
when you listen to this, we're going to be way far in the future, so no need to dive into those. But for me, I'm one of those people that I I actually look pretty deep into the analytics of stuff on some brackets. I don't watch as much college basketball as I used to, but like for example, I know you won't believe me, but I had Oakland beating Kentucky, and they did. And one of the reasons why is I'm a big Ken Palm guy. You know what Ken Palm is?
I
It's
do.
it's basically the analytics that everybody looks at for college basketball. And Kentucky's defense is absolutely terrible. And Oakland shoots a ton of threes. So in my mind, I was like, you know what? If Oakland doesn't hit their threes, they're going to lose. But like Kentucky's not going to make it far anyways, in my opinion, just because their defense is so poor. Let's just take a shot, and they won. So I think Houston and UConn. I mean, I basically said yes to anybody that asked me if I wanted to be in their bracket, and I made sure to differentiate my
Yeah.
brackets to make sure I had one that might make it pretty far. So Houston, UConn, I think both of them are far and above between. So,
Yeah.
but college basketball's fun. I remember the days in high school where the cool teachers would roll in their TV and put the games on. And like I said at the beginning of the podcast, March is one of those months where it's like winter's ending, college basketball, March Madness is starting, and baseball is beginning. And this year, baseball started a little earlier than it typically does, with the Padres and the Dodgers playing in Korea. What did you and your family do? Did you guys watch that one? The kids excited for baseball?
We did not watch it. I followed a little bit. Obviously, you and I are in the same fantasy baseball league. So I had one player on my new fantasy baseball team that we drafted, one player on the Dodgers. So I was watching that, watching his stat line closely. He had a pretty good couple days. I know you have Shohei Ohtani on your team. You've been trying to trade him to me a couple times. We can't seem to get on the same page with that one. But, I feel like it's going to wait. We're going to wait till Cardinals season. We're going to wait till Cardinals opening day. That's the team that they like the most. Every time they see a Cardinal outside, they do the same joke that we say all the time. Hey, there's Ozzy or there's Albert, but for
Yeah.
now it's like, hey, there's a Cardinals player, or they like the name Yachty. I know you have
Yeah.
a dog named Yachty. So we're waiting until Cardinals begins in a couple weeks here, or I guess it'll be soon, coming up here in a week once people watch this. But yeah, baseball season is exciting. But one thing about baseball, I will tell you, there's all these, I don't know if you have on your bucket list, like places to go, like different stadiums you want to go to. Is there a stadium on your bucket list that you haven't checked off yet that you really would like to?
Oh, for sure. San Francisco.
Yeah.
San Francisco, to me, like I love baseball, but growing up, I absolutely love baseball. And as I've gotten older, it's so slow and like it's kind of like a social thing now. Like you go to the game because you
Sure.
just want to hang out with some friends, your family. So if I'm going to a game, I want to make sure that like the scenery is going to be top notch. And I think San Francisco's probably got the best skyline. If they don't, I think the Pirates close
Pittsburgh.
second. They
Yeah.
got that great silent skyline there. What about you?
Yeah, San Francisco and Pittsburgh are obviously the top on many people's lists, but I was going to tell you coming up soon, when I think it's next Friday, so next week, so about 6 days from now, we are going to have a night where we're going to put the kids to bed, and Jackson, Ann, and I are going to do a special thing for Jackson because Ann and I are going twice to Mexico this year. We don't have a family vacation plan, so we actually decided we are going to have Jackson and the two of us go on a trio vacation. So no
Oh,
younger
cool.
kids. We're going to leave McGuire. We're going to leave Wyatt with my parents. And we're going to go with just Jackson. 4 nights. We have the dates planned. But Spencer, we don't have the place planned. We
Mm.
have 10 places that we have selected. And we've created like these little fake tickets that have some things you can do at each location. And we're actually going to have a night. We're going to cook dinner. We're going to play games downstairs. And we're going to reveal this surprise to him, and he's going to
Nice.
choose where we're going on vacation.
Very
And,
cool.
and one of them is San Francisco. And on the list, on one of the things to do was go to a Giants game. And like some of them are like, I believe the Cardinals are playing in Wrigley when we're going. So like Chicago is one of them too. And we'll say, go to
Very
a Cubs
cool.
Cardinals game. So there's 10 different locations, and a few of them have those baseball stadiums, which got me thinking about it too. And I actually have gone to baseball games with Jackson when he was younger. And one thing that always gets me is the public restrooms. Let's talk some
Mm.
restroom etiquette here, Spencer. Public restrooms are tough, especially for a guy like me. I know we talked about it last episode. I'm not Howie Mandel style, but I'm pretty big germaphobe in a way. But obviously, baseball stadiums, NFL stadiums, NHL stadiums, it's tough. Public restrooms are tough. But as a dad with a kid going into a public restroom, have you had any stories, or do you have any like protocols with Michael that you do? Like, okay, my protocol with McGuire is don't touch anything. Like, I will hold you on the potty, just hold my shoulders. Like, don't touch anything. Make sure you wash your hands real good. Are there any etiquette that you go by?
To be totally honest, my etiquette is, hey, honey, Michael took a dump in his diaper. I think he needs to be changed. No, in all seriousness, she does. My wife, for some reason, just volunteers and does it. It's probably 70-30. She takes a large chunk of them. When Michael goes to a public bathroom, it's change a diaper. So
You got to have
lay
the pull
down
down.
the lay down the koala
That's
diaper
right.
changing a table there, prop him up there, and I do tell him do not move.
Yeah.
But there have been some times where other people are taking care of business next door,
Yeah.
and he will whisper to me, "Daddy, they poop me too," and I'll say they are pooping too. I was like, "Now quit talking."
I know it is
Otherwise, they're
so
gonna freak out.
it's funny, like the reactions or the things that they'll say, or like one we walked into a restaurant the other day, a restaurant bathroom, and McGuire said, "There's another person in the bathroom." I said, "Yeah, they can be here too. There's multiple places to go." And so like I feel like he's always got a little quip or a quirk, and there's people in the bathroom too, and he's saying something. But just those big stadium restrooms, like we try to find the family bathrooms when we go to like Busch Stadium, we want to make sure because there's
Mhm.
only one, and you go in there, you can lock the door. So we've tried
Yeah,
to find those, but sometimes in those big public restrooms, it's tough. But
yeah.
I don't know about you personally, but I uh, I get stage fright, Spencer. when it comes to urinals and things. I have to go into the stalls. I wait for the stalls. I don't know why. I've just always been that way. I get a little stage fright. But it got me thinking about restroom urinal etiquette. So I thought we would play a little fun little quiz activity for you. And I'm going to
Okay.
pull up this picture that you should be able to see. All right, to start this game, Spencer, we have the 5 urinals that you see. Number 1 is closest to the door, and number 5 is closest. Let's say there's 3 stalls next to it. So we have
Mm.
1 to 5 left to right. And before we start the game, let's just say nobody's in the bathroom. Where are you going to pee?
No one's in the bathroom. Where am I going to pee? I'm probably picking number 4, and
Or
I'll tell you why. So door is next to number 1, urinal or other bathrooms are next to number 5. If I pick number 4, I'm banking on someone else is also not going to want to come next to me. So they're gonna take number 1 or number 2. So 3 and 5 are pretty much a safe area. If I take 5, I run the risk of someone coming in and sitting on the stall,
stall.
which I don't like. When I pick my position to relieve myself, I like to be as predictable as possible. So I'm going number 4 if there's no
All
one
right.
there.
What if somebody was at number 2, Spencer? Where would you go?
If somebody's at number 2, that is a tricky spot. It comes down to number 4, number 5. Definitely not 1. You're a psychopath if you pick number 1. Number 3, you're asking for trouble. Okay. 4 is pretty safe for the same reasons I said before. Number 3 and 5, it's like, okay, safe zone. But if someone's at number 2 and I pick 4, then they have to make a decision. They're probably not taking number 1 because
Yeah.
then they're picking by the door. They're probably not picking number 5 because they're kind of cornered in as well. So they're probably going number 3. So what I'm probably going to do actually is I'm probably going to take 5
Yeah.
and run the risk that, hey, if someone comes in, needs to go number 2, I'm not going to pick the stall right next to me. So 5.
5's the right answer. I mean, I feel like you have the stall, it's the wall. Yeah, somebody could be really close right there, but you got that wall, that barrier, and you're just as far away from 2 as possible. All right, what about we have number 2 and number 4, Spencer?
Man, this is tough. This is like
And all stalls are filled.
all stalls are filled, 2 and 4 taken. So that leaves 1, 3, and 5.
And
Okay.
you got to
This
go.
is kind of this is kind of like playing a game of Russian roulette. You put the bullet in, you spin it, and you just hope for the best. Now I will say, when I come in, I don't, I'm not gonna peep. I'm not a peeper, I'm not a
No.
peeker. See, but I will take a look. Which person looks like they're almost done?
Yeah. Who's
Depending
getting the
on
shake?
that,
Who's getting that shake started?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Are they button up the belt?
Yeah.
Are they pulling up their pants? Were
A
they one
little
of
bit
those
of
people
movement.
that pull their pants all the way down and show them whitey tighties? Um, I'm probably you definitely don't go 3. That's just
No.
crazy.
Yeah.
I'm honestly probably going 5. I'm
Yeah.
probably going 5. That you got to go furthest away from the door. You never know if there's going to be a shooter that comes in. You got to be able to like duck and cover. Also, you can kind of angle your body
Uh-huh.
towards that
Towards the
number
stall.
5 wall.
Yeah.
So you can kind of get that angle. 5, I know I used it before, but I'm going 5.
All right. And then the opposite, 1, 3, and 5 are taken.
Hmm. 1, 3, and 5. Whoever took number 5, him and I would probably get along because they chose my favorite place to urinate. So I got to think that they're the type of person that's going to get in and get out because they're most like me. They're thinking just like someone who thinks about this kind of stuff. I'm going to go 4.
Okay. Yeah. My answer would probably be I pretend like I'm washing my hands and wait till somebody leaves, but it's all right. I don't think I would step in. I know if I really had to go, maybe I would, but I would just wait at that point. I can't do it. That stage fright would just come back to haunt me there. All right. So, well, thanks for playing, Spencer. I know it's an
Yeah.
interesting little game, but that stage fright, like I talked about, would come into play a lot of those places. I would just have to wait for a stall no matter what. But dad's in a public restroom. It's going to be interesting the first time that McGuire wants to use a urinal and
Mm.
hold him up, for that part because he probably's got no stage fright whatsoever. So hopefully he doesn't get that from me later on. All right. One thing else that's happening, and this is not, not really restroom related, but one thing that's happening in our house too, Spencer, right now is we need a new water heater. We need a new water heater. Unfortunately, it's been the same one since we moved in 2018. You're not getting a lot of hot water. If the kids have a bath, there's no more hot water the rest of the time. If my teenager takes a shower that lasts forever, there's no hot water for Ann and I. We're nighttime showerers, now in this new. Sometimes I'll shower in the morning if I have to get to a presentation or have to travel somewhere or something like that. But most of the time we're nighttime showerers. But we're trying to decide on that. But one thing my wife said was we should add a water softener. And I don't know if you're familiar with hard and soft water. The soft water is the ones, it feels like there's soap still on you, it just softens the water. But people say you don't have to use as much soap because you feel a little more moisturized. The hard water is like, that squeaky clean feeling. And that's what I like. I like the hard water. But my son, who has terrible eczema, and my daughter who keeps scratching, and if you want softer skin, soft water is the way to go. But do you all have a water softener, or are you still in the hard water phase, or what do you prefer?
To be totally honest with you, I wasn't even aware this was a thing until we just started talking about this a couple seconds ago. But I will say, a once wise person told me that they like their water just like they like their pretzels, nice and soft. So
That's
we
right.
don't have one of those, and if we do,
You don't notice.
yeah, I have no idea. So
Well, I'll always remember in geology class in college, we don't pay attention. Nobody pays attention in geology. Let's be real. And nobody was paying attention. It was one of those classes where you would go for the other people and you would take notes for them. And I went with all my a cappella group. We all took geology pretty much at the same time. And me and a couple of people were there the first couple of classes. And the professor was talking. Nobody in this huge lecture hall is paying attention to this professor. We're just trying to get to the quiz to take it. And all of a sudden, my friends see me raise my hand. And they go, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm answering this question." And he asked the question, "What is hard, like talk about hard and soft water?" And I answered it, and he was like, "That's correct." And they all looked at me like, how are you paying attention? I don't know, I've just always known that. So it's just something that now as an adult and as a dad, you're thinking about, what do I
yeah,
need for my kids? What do I need to add in? I've always had hard water everywhere. It's, everywhere I've lived. So it's just going to be an interesting, maybe we'll have soft water and I'll let you know how it goes.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of dads, let's move on to our game segment, Spencer. And for this game this time around, we haven't really done a game like this so far, but we are going to do a draft. So we just had our fantasy baseball draft. We like to follow the NBA draft, the NFL draft, all those things. So we're going to do our own draft. But for this subject, Spencer, we are going to do our favorite TV dads. We're going to go back
Mm.
and forth. You can pick any TV dad. It could be a personal favorite. It could be an overall just dad you think's great, whatever you'd like. But a favorite television dad from any TV show. We're going to pick four each since this is episode 4 of the Nacho Average Daddios podcast. We're going to go back and forth and give a quick explanation of your pick, but I'm going to defer to you for the first overall pick. We'll go back and forth, not a snake draft. We'll just go each round. So with the first overall pick in the Nacho Average Daddios favorite TV dads draft, who are we going with?
This number one, I do not take this number one pick responsibility lightly. This is a very this pick kind of sets the tone
It
for the
does.
rest of the picks. And I'd like to say that, some of the dads out there will not be picked in this selection. There's only 8 picks. There's a lot of really great dads that just aren't going to make it.
Yeah.
But for me, when I think of great TV dads, I think of somebody that's funny. I think of somebody that people say, "Hey, you kind of look like that guy." I think of a dad that you got to be in a show that's lasted a while. You can't be a short show, right? So I'm going with no other than Phil Dunphy from Modern Family with the number 1 overall pick. He is hilarious. He's a little dumb, and people told me that I remind them of him. And I don't know if it's the humor. I don't know if it's the big ears. I don't know if it's just, hey, you're a great guy, but Phil Dunphy, he's the pick.
That's the right pick, and that's the only pick that I would have made. And I'm mad now that I deferred the number 1 pick to you, but I am glad that we're on the same page with the number 1 pick, because that's the only answer. I feel like that would be the right answer. Modern Family, Phil Dunphy has that perfect care, perfect amount of aloofness, perfect amount of dad jokes. Yeah, Phil Dunphy is the right answer. I guess I'm gonna take my other thought that I would have in my top two. I did not want to take this guy this early, and I feel like it's going to be met with some backlash from viewers and people that would see it, but I'm going to go with Coach Eric Taylor. I'm going to go with Friday Night Lights Coach Eric Taylor. I think not only is he a great father to his daughters, but I think he's a great father and a help builder of men. You know, he's a great role model for all of his players. So I'm going to go with Coach Taylor in Friday Night Lights.
Friday Night Lights, great pick there. He's a guy he's a great example. He's overcome adversity, like you said. Great dad, great show as well.
Yeah.
Number 3 overall pick. This one may be met with some of those rule people who say, "Hey, hold on a second. He's not actually a dad." But in this TV show, he is the father figure for a very famous actor, singer, musician. This is one of my favorite TV shows growing up. And it taught me a lot about life. And it taught me a lot about, the struggles of maybe being a parent of kind of an adoptive parent. It's kind of opening some eyes for me. So we are sticking with Team Phil, and we are going with Uncle Phil, Philip Banks from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
I mean, he's still a dad. He's still a dad to Carl. He's still a dad to Carlton. And this is another great pick. And I'm a little worried picking second because Spencer, these have been my top 3 picks right here. And I did not think that you're going to go have a great draft like you are. So I'm really going to have to dig deep and find something somewhere deep down where I can get some value pick here. And I think I'm going to go with nostalgia on my next pick, try to get some value in it, trying to get something that's going to fill the hearts and the houses. But not a fill in your sense, but a full house and a full heart. I'm going Danny Tanner, Bob Saget, and we're gonna go old school. We're gonna great Dad Michelle, yes, and he's got that calm demeanor that you really want as a father figure, someone who has that disciplinarian, but in a calm way, and can control a household and manage a household so well. So I'm gonna go with Danny Tanner.
It's a great pick. He was definitely on my board.
Yeah.
He was definitely on my big board. But, we're going to go in a different direction here. We're going to enter the world of make-believe. We're going to enter the cartoon universe of Top Dads. And to me, to be totally honest with you, this dad actually sucks. Okay. He's actually not a great dad, but that's not what this draft is all about. It's not who's the best dad. It's who's your favorite TV dad.
Favorite TV dads.
And there's one dad that has made me laugh more than any other dad combined on any TV show. This show's been running for over 20 years. It is a favorite. They push the limits. I'm going with Peter Griffin from Family Guy. Peter Griffin is on my Mount Rushmore of TV dads.
Well, there you go, Peter Griffin. You did take a different route there after your first 2 picks. So it's going to be interesting to see what the viewers say when they do the voting. For my third pick on this team, I'm going to take a different approach as well. I'm going to take someone that people don't really think of as the dad mentality if they've seen this show, but if you do watch the show, especially deep into the seasons, you really see this guy come to light in his dad role. He started off as a stepfather. As you know, I'm a stepdad to Jackson as well. Started off as a stepfather, ends up having his own kid by the end of the seasons, and that is Ron Swanson. I'm going with Ron Swanson.
Okay.
I feel like I'm going to get some value here with this pick. Everybody loves Ron Swanson and his mustache, but when he had that girlfriend with the 2 daughters, he ended up being a great dad. There's that episode where they come to his office and then he really bonds with them and he watches them over them for the day. And he becomes a great dad ever since. And then he ends up having his own child as well. So Ron Swanson is going to be my third pick.
It's a good pick. I'm kind of going in a similar direction. This is my last pick of the draft. And when I'm filling out my roster in anything, you got to have a little bit of diversity. You got to have someone that can be your utility man. You got to be your guy. You got to find your dad that has done a little bit of everything. First pick, we went with humor. We went with a very funny guy. We went with a guy that's very relatable.
Yeah.
Second pick, we went with a guy that did something that a lot of people wouldn't do. And he took in someone else's kid. Sure. He basically adopted him, obviously family, but that was a big thing, Will Smith was one of those TV characters that was finding himself in trouble. And that was something that Uncle Phil is very admirable for. So he's kind of the leader of the bunch. And then we went with Peter Griffin. We got to have a guy that's just he
The
tells you like
slapstick.
it
Yeah.
tells you like it is. Yeah. So with this last pick, we're going with a guy that can kind of do a little bit of everything. Okay. This guy has 3 of his own kids.
Oh.
This guy cared for 3 kids that weren't necessarily his. He has a new wife. He has a housekeeper. They have a dog.
Oh.
And they've got a decent house. And they were able to put it all together. And I'm going with Mike Brady of the Brady Bunch. He's a historically, well-known dad. He's a guy, he's kind of going to be our glue guy.
Yeah, you dug down for the heartstrings there for people. Brady Bunch is definitely that show that people always can relate with. So, one that I think the older generation I know too, and in our generation will continue to make sure that it rounds your team out well. So I got to find something different. I got to change my approach here. I got to find another niche target to get the voters onto my team. And that's going to be Ned Stark. So I'm going to go Ned Stark. I know he was only around for 1 season, but he's constantly mentioned as this great father, and what he did for his kids, what he did for his sister's kid. Spoiler alert, all what he's done for his family can be second to none. So protector of his family as well, even in death. So I'm going to go with Ned Stark to round out my roster. That is our draft for the favorite TV dads draft. Here are your rosters again, and we're going to have a little voting going on our social media pages. Vote to see if Spencer won the first draft or if I did. We'll probably have some other drafts in the future, but for our first one, of course, we had to go with TV dads. Spencer, it's that time of the podcast where we do our featured dad joke of the pod, one of the favorite segments from our listeners. Just great content to use if you're a dad, on a specific day. So what is your featured dad joke of this podcast, Spencer?
I again, this is a very honorable thing that we get to do. We get to tell jokes that no other people in this world can tell unless they are a dad. They will be judged. If they say these jokes, they will be judged. They'll be laughed out of town. But we have to keep the dad jokes alive. There's not many more people like us.
No.
So without further ado, I really, really, looked into my soul for this one. So this one's relatable to having children. What do kids play when they have nothing else to play with?
I don't know.
Board games.
They're bored. Good one.
There's nothing else to do. They're very bored.
Well, Spencer, I don't know if you heard in the news, but a cheese factory exploded. All that was left was debris.
No.
Just debris. Well, that'll do it, folks, for the 4th episode of the Nacho Average Daddios podcast. You can find our podcast on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts as well, and follow us on social media on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Spencer, thank you for joining us again for the 4th episode of the Nacho Average Daddios podcast. We got some cool things coming up next episode. We are actually going to recap how you and I played in the first week of our opening day of our Wiffle Ball League that will be starting coming up next week. And then we also have, we're going to talk about what Jackson decided for his travel vacation and plenty more things about dads and fatherhood in general. Spencer, anything to say to the people before we leave?
Everybody love everybody. Have a great weekend whenever you listen to this.
Yes, whenever you listen to this, have a great rest of your weekend too, Spencer. We'll talk soon, everybody, for the Nacho Average Daddios. We'll see you next time.
Peace.